Where do you stand when it comes to getting ready for retirement? Typically, I get one of three answers. One is, I have no idea if I could retire. One is, I think I have enough money to retire. And the other one is, I know I could retire. In this video, we're gonna break down part B, where I think we have enough to retire. Hi everyone, Logan Sadler. Thanks for stopping by the Financial Beat YouTube channel. As always, here to bring you a great video insight on some educational resources when it comes to retirement planning. If you haven't yet, go ahead and check out some of our other videos. Again, coming on here each week with some updates on different videos on different topics all across retirement and retirement planning world, we call it. In today's video, it's actually part 2 of the video where I'm going to talk about on the other one, I talked about people who have no idea if they could retire. This one, I'm going to talk about people who think they have enough to retire or think they have a concept of it. Let's go ahead and break that down. Typically how it works is we're going to look at somebody that is, getting ready to retire. You're at that point where maybe you and your wife have talked about it. And I always joke, a lot of people say, well, I think I'm ready to retire and I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug. The one thing I want to talk about is that normally it comes down to one of two things. One of the times it's, okay, I think I have enough money to retire. Is that plan based off of just thinking about it, right? Is it something that is emotional, meaning I'm done with work, I'm getting older, or I'm getting tired, or I just don't want to do this anymore? Or is there some type of a plan behind it, meaning you kind of looked at the numbers, you have a pension coming in, you maybe have put some money in a 401k and could use that to supplement income. Is there some type of structure to that, but you're really not sure how to connect all the dots? If that's you, it's something where that's a lot of people out there where you have some idea. Now, believe it or not, I have had some people where they come in, they've never done the math, never looked at anything. They're just ready to retire. And that's typically not the best way to do it. I remember I had one client come in, she's like, listen, I'm getting ready to retire next month and I'm pulling the plug. And I said, okay, so what have you kind of thought about when it comes to retirement planning or where income will come from, things of that sort? And she hadn't even really kind of considered any of that. She just knew that she was done working, right? So typically we want to have a little bit of a rough idea. And again, if you have a good financial advisor, you should typically meet with them ahead of time before retirement. Typically a few years is obviously the best way to do it. But again, sometimes clients come in and they're getting ready to retire in a few months and we've kind of had some structure together so they have an idea. But you want to have more than just a feeling. You want to also know that you're going to be able to retire and how that will look, at least have a rough picture of how that will look. Number 2, where is that paycheck going to come from? Right? I have a lot of people where sometimes they'll pull the plug and get ready to retire and that we know exactly where our paychecks are going to come from. We have income streams like Social Security, maybe some annuity income, maybe some dividend income, stock market, 401ks, right? Rentals. We want to know where that next paycheck is coming from because the whole point of retiring is to retiring to that next paycheck, because I know we want to retire and not work anymore, but we still want income coming in each month. So, or at least every so many months, right? At least to make sure we know exactly what type of income is going to be coming in so we can kind of plan our lifestyle. Again, I'm very big on knowing where income's coming in. I think there's a lot of different ways to generate income in retirement. Again, like I mentioned, some of those other things like Social Security, annuities, stock market, real estate, 401k income, things of that sort. They're all taxed a little bit differently. They all have different risk and all that involved with them. So you want to make sure you're looking at the broad picture, but you want to have an understanding of, okay, I'm retiring. Where is that paycheck going to start coming from? And how's that going to look? Number 3, I love this one because it's something that a lot of people don't factor in. And I've heard all sorts of answers when it comes to this one. But basically, let's talk about number 3 is what type of return on your money do you need to sustain that income or to sustain that lifestyle? Now, I've had some clients that come in, they say, well, look, I got an X amount of money in the market. I got a 401k. As long as things do what they did from 2016 to 2021, I'm going to be okay, right? And that's projecting off of a really, really good bull market. Now, I'll tell people all the time, now that will dramatically change if I ask one question. What would happen if the market didn't perform as well? What would happen to your income? Now, a lot of them go, well, I'm not really sure, but the market always does good, right? Well, yeah, the market has some really good returns. Also, there's some years like in the early 2000s, some of the other different economic slower periods where the market hasn't performed as good. So I think it's very important to take a deep dive into how realistic are your expectations. I think that's where a lot of people will sometimes, we vary on what is realistic. And I think it's really important to run the numbers, to look at the math and say, what type of realistic return do I need to keep this up? Some people I meet with, they think 15% returns are realistic for long periods of time. I tell you what, if that was, we would all be putting our money there, right? We know that every investment has ups, every investment has downs. There's also some stuff out there like cash or annuities or CDs that are safe, but they don't have nearly the return you might need. So it's very important. And I actually wanted to pull up a graph here for you guys. This is something that we do with our clients when we're sitting down and we're looking at what type of income are you going to need in retirement. And I want to look at this first one, shows you what happens if we had a median return. Okay. And if you look up in the top right, it'll actually show you based off this client's longevity with him and his spouse. It shows you when they would pass away, when the other one would continue income. And it shows you up in the top right what would be left over if we had an okay market, right? I think that's important to know based off your holdings, based off how this client's situated. How would an okay market look in your retirement and how would that factor in? Now let's go to the other side. Those clients that might have been too aggressive, and let's look at that and say, what would happen if we had a very poor market scenario? How would that affect your income and how much income or how much assets would you have left at the end of your retirement? Again, you can see up in the top right, this client actually ran out of money. So they went from a spot where they were actually going to be okay, the market did okay, to a spot where they are now out of money at the end of their retirement plan or actually before the end of their retirement plan. So I feel it's super important when you're sitting down with an advisor or if you do it yourself to make sure you're looking at all of these different variables that come into retirement planning, looking at what type of income you need, what type of risk or return will it take to produce that income, how long will it last, all of those things need to be factored in. And I'll leave you with this fourth one. The fourth one is just as important. We might have income and things of those sorts structured, and it might be something that will be able to sustain our lifestyle. But a lot of us, I always like to say, always forget that, guess what? The roof still leaks. You still need tires in retirement. You still need to change your faucet, right? All of these different things still come up when it comes into retirement. So you want to make sure you have a proper emergency fund, plenty of cash reserve, or we call it dry powder, meaning you have some other assets out there where you could pull and grab to it quick to where that's not going to significantly affect your income, right? You want to make sure you're kind of plugging all those pieces in. And this is a really good kind of recap, I would say, is to make sure that you've looked at all of those variables in your retirement plan. They shouldn't just be one thing at a time. It should be incorporated into the whole retirement plan because, again, we're big believers and you want to stay as comprehensive as possible, looking into all different types of aspects and variables that will come up to make sure that you're on your way and you know that you can retire, not you think you can retire, right? So again, hopefully that was educational for you. Hopefully it brought up some good points of some ideas you might not have thought of or maybe have thought of but didn't know how to checklist them out. Hopefully that gave you kind of a quick little recap of where you might land or where you think you could land when it comes to when you're ready to retire. Join us on the next video. We're going to be going over part 3 of this. Of those of you that say, I know I could retire, you're going to want to hear what I have to say on that. Again, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys next week on another video. Talk to you soon.